I'm always looking for ways to show my cat how much I love her. And with Fancy Feast gems, I can pamper her whenever I want with a savory gravy on top of a gourmet mousse pâté. The pyramid shape makes serving simple, so all I have to do is peel and plate to make mealtime feel extra fancy. And with 2 entrees in every pack, it's easy to turn every day into the extraordinary. Fancy Feast gems.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contrast. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
You're listening to Dr. Emma and me on the Tudors Dynasty and Beyond podcast. And now, here are your hosts.
Hello and welcome back to the show. I am Rebecca Larson. It's Thursday, and that means it's Dr. Emma and me. Welcome, Emma.
Hi, Rebecca. How are you?
You know what? I'm always good when I get to share the screen with you.
I feel the same way.
I thought you were going to be like, barf.
No. And the bookcase, I mean, to be honest with you, it's looking better each day.
Thank you. I'm trying to fill
I'm in
it
my
up.
house in Santander, different place to the last time, so I'm switching it around. So actually, this was the place that I did the first interview to Alejandra last year on the quality of art. So if you want to go back to seeing this room again in last summer, I switched a little bit. So still in Santander. And to that sense, I did go to Laredo the other day and recorded some very cool stuff about the upcoming course, Forging a Queen, Catherine of Aragon before England. I was going to say before Spain. There was no before Spain because she was born in Spain. Before England. That starts in September 17th, right, Rebecca?
Yeah, it's coming up fast, and we got lots of people signed up, so I'm so excited for this to get going.
We kind of crushed Rebecca's first, she was like, oh, and then, so we're not going to say, but it's going to be interesting. A lot of people, I'm sure a lot of more people are going to sign up after this episode, and we, give a bit more, because it's not just about Catherine of Aragon, it's really about how women changed the history since the Middle Ages, and how Castile specifically became this kind of place that was very important in that sense. Castile and Leon, we talked about, remember? Urraca de Leon. Yes, your favorite queen from Leon. And we talked about Urraca. So it's a bit that idea. And today we're not going far from that. So I think the connection is there for sure. And this all leads to why Catherine of Aragon has all this, let's say, self-esteem, really, of great women in her past that have done great things. And she's like, well, starting with her mom, who will be featured heavily in the course. So it's going to be very exciting. And all these things that we're talking about in the podcast will be there, but things that won't be in the podcast, because I've recorded some stuff in Laredo. That's the last place in Spain that Catherine saw. And she never came back to Spain. So really that was the last time she was ever in Spain. So it's a very, very special place. It's a very cool place too.
Yeah. And I think this course, we cannot stress enough, you just said it too, was that this course is going to bring new information that you haven't heard on the podcast before. When Dr. Emma has been on the show, these are going to be things that she hasn't gone into detail on previously. So new content. This isn't regurgitated stuff.
No. New content, a lot of visual content, a lot of sources that you will see, I will show you, that prove that, it's just become so obvious that she was so ready to change England forever, really. In many ways and respects, in art and culture, but mainly and foremost in the education of her daughter, Mary, and empowering that new generation, because she had a daughter. She would have loved to have a son, but eventually she only had a daughter. And she was like, okay, we have a girl, so it's time to make her the most educated woman in Renaissance history, really. then to have such a, I feel sorry for Mary because she was so prepared to be the greatest monarch in European history, really, and has been so vilified afterwards that it's just speaks a lot about how women in power are not viewed greatly usually. You have to have very specific conditions. And Mary died youngish because she only ruled for 5 years and that.
Yeah.
But it all starts from Catherine's education in Spain with Isabel of Castile. So, but it starts before that. The course would also feature the tradition of women that had exercised power, that had used that power for good, for ruling towns, for the patronage of the arts, building places. I love the architecture attached to women. There's a lot of that in the course in all these places in Spain that we're gonna travel to someday together, right, Rebecca?
Yes, we are. And I look forward to that day.
Well, so today we're talking about two women in parallel lives. Oh, surprise,
I was just
surprise.
going to
Two
say,
women.
no surprise there.
No surprise there. Again, a duo that we've done before, a mother and a daughter. And I think we're coming close to the course, and that's why I also wanted to bring this up because Isabel of Castile and Catherine of Aragon seem very unique to us, but when you understand the tradition they come from in Castile, in Leon, and other places that we'll talk about today, linked mainly to the Atlantic facade of Europe, right? So
Mhm.
involving France, Aquitaine, and England. It just speaks of how, when these women were going from one court to the other, marrying these kings and that, how they're changing really the views and how it starts really in places like the Iberian Peninsula and southern France, which are connected because we have to remember that at that time it was easier to get place to place through the sea most of the time. So the north of Spain was more connected to the south of France than would be to many places in the interior of Spain, right? It's very
Yeah.
different now. So today we are talking. You wanted to say who we're talking about?
Well, I think you gave away a lot of clues there, but
Or is it Aquitaine? Yes,
yeah,
I did.
yeah. Eleanor of Aquitaine is one of our women today, and I think
Yes.
she is one of the people that, if you're listening or watching, I know you get excited when we talk about her because she just seems so cool. Like I don't know how else to
She's the
describe
coolest.
it.
I talk about Catherine of Aragon day in and day out, and Isabel of Castile for that matter, but I'm sure they admired Eleanor of Aquitaine and they had her as a she did it, we can do it, right? That kind of sense that if you like Henry VIII we said would think of Hercules or Alexander the Great or these people, right? Basically reading parallel lives by
Yeah,
Plutarch is a
yeah.
lot of and Eleanor is one of those in many ways and respects and antiquity carried on through the Middle Ages. There were still people in power, and women in power were not something common in the Middle Ages. But Eleanor, there's always that figure that rises above everyone and just has too much charisma for this world and just becomes this like icon. And I think Eleanor of Aquitaine is probably the most famous woman in the Middle Ages, we could say.
Oh, I would say.
Do you
I
think so?
Yeah. I mean, unless you want to lump in Elizabeth Woodville, who would be at the end of the medieval period, but
I don't think she's as famous in international circles.
oh, that's true.
Elizabeth Woodville. I think, Joan of Arc maybe is
Mm,
another one of the very ultra famous women from the Middle Ages. I would say in scholarly environments, probably Christine de Pizan, the famous writer. Very, very famous woman too. Other than that, I think Eleanor might be the most famous one.
yeah.
Yes, yes.
People know her name. Doesn't
Oh yeah.
matter which period of royal history you study, you say Eleanor of Aquitaine, and people are like, oh,
Yeah.
yeah. But the thing about her is, I feel like there's confusion. I mean, I've had guests on in the past that talk about
Mm-hmm.
Eleanor. And, I feel like some say she was this horrible wife and she turned against her husband. And then others say, no, she wasn't that person at all. She was somebody else. So,
I'm sure her husband was a treat to be around.
Hey, husbands always are a treat.
Yes, yes. So
Yeah, well,
much.
okay, so before we get talk too much about Eleanor of Aquitaine, I'm going to let you say who the second person is.
So Eleanor of Aquitaine is famous not only for being famous herself, but for having some of the most famous children in the history of England, basically, because
Yeah.
she's the mother of Richard Lionheart, Richard the First, King Richard, and King John, both featured in, I don't know, going back to the 90s and the kids from the 90s
Oh
in
no.
Robin Hood's movie, and the stories of Robin Hood, because it's the time of Robin Hood. So it's just a famous time. Like we've talked a bit about Isabel of Castile, it's just a famous time, right? It's a
Yeah.
famous time because she's a duchess in her own right, but of Aquitaine, but then she's Queen of France and then becomes Queen of England. And then she has very famous children because of the Crusades, Richard Lionheart, and all that,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But one of her lesser known children, who is very, very famous in Spain, is Eleanor Plantagenet, who becomes Queen of Castile by marriage to Alfonso. We said there's too many Alfonsos
I
in the
was just
history,
gonna
royal
say,
history.
yeah, there's like seven of them.
No, not Alfonso again.
It's like all the Henrys trying to keep track.
Actually, he's Alfonso the Eighth.
Oh, there we go.
Oh,
I'll
there we
remember that.
go.
And eight's my lucky number, so
Oh, there you go. I like even numbers too because I'm weird.
I do. I know. I'm like that
Four is
too.
my lucky number. Eight is your lucky number?
It always has been. It repeats in my life over, and my birthday is on the 8th, and there's so many
Oh.
times that the number 8 pops up in my life. You
So
guys don't
my
need to.
two this is a real thing, Rebecca. Are you recording this? Is this part of the podcast?
Yes, it is.
My two favorite numbers are 2 and 4. So
Oh,
2 times 4 is 8.
yeah. I was going to go 2
Oh.
plus 4 is 6. So,
That's an even number too. It's just the
yeah.
uneven numbers that I'm very unsure about. Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's why
After being weird.
I was just going to say, I'm pretty sure that's why my marriage failed because I didn't get married on an even day. I got
Oh, we
married
get
on.
into that. Ooh, let me drink a little bit of my vodka.
I'm just kidding. We don't need to go into why I'm divorced.
That's for the next one, next podcast.
I'll save that.
In
Yeah.
solving trauma with Rebecca and Emma. No, well, yes. So who were we talking about? Sorry, sidetracked. Her lesser famous child, Eleanor Plantagenet, came Queen of Castile by marriage to Alfonso the Eighth, and they were a power couple like no other power couple in Castile in the Middle Ages.
Oh.
Because she had a lot of power, because she was granted lots of lands and towns. And this is where it's starting. Can you now understand why I paired with, and I'm talking about Isabel of Castile? She comes from a tradition of women who are given when they marry, instead of just being like, oh, go home and just have children. No, in Castile, the queen would receive lands that she would have to administer, that she would have to run, and all that. For Eleanor was Plantagenet, the daughter of Eleanor of Aquitaine and Henry II of England. That was easy because she came from that mother. So in we have double parallel lives here now between Isabel of Castile and Catherine of Aragon and Eleanor of Aquitaine and Eleanor of Plantagenet. Why? Because Catherine of Aragon really receives the biggest dowry in the history of England, and she's the biggest landlord after Henry VIII, and she exercises this power, right? And this is something we know thanks to Michelle Beer's wonderful study on this, on her lands and her finances and all of that. I do more of the culture, but I've read all of Michelle Beer's work, and she proves that. She proves. I did a lot of the Queen's lands and how the Queen's lands were transformed during Catherine of Aragon's reign.
Hmm.
And why I'm bringing this up is because these patterns of like power, wealth, administering cities, having lands transmitted to artistic patronage a lot of the times. So when we go to places like Burgos, that we've talked about many times, that's not far from here, from Santander, it's like an hour and a half. You can visit places like the Abbey of Santa Maria la Real de las Huelgas, that was founded by Eleanor Plantagenet and Alfonso VIII. They're buried there. And it's a huge abbey. Oh, you would love this place. You will love this place when we go. And they're buried there, and the sarcophaguses are there, and they have the arms of England. So you see the connections. Remember how we talked about really the marriage of Catherine of Aragon and Henry VIII was based on a long tradition of an economic agreement? And Burgos, because of the merchants, played a role in this, a big role, because really those were the families that were linked to the families in England that were trading the wool and all these things that Castile and England were exchanging. And that's what really all these marriage agreements are trying to protect, a trade industry, right? And protection because you're not your geographic natural allies, because you're like, if you're against France, and this is where Eleanor of Aquitaine comes, if you're against France, you need to be allies. A place like the kingdoms in the Iberian Peninsula need to be allies with a place like England and Ireland, for that matter, right? So that's this. This is where this whole Anglo-Spanish marriage tradition comes from Eleanor of Aquitaine having many children with Henry II of England, and one of them becoming Queen of Castile and transforming everything. She was a great Queen of Castile.
I feel like she had some pretty good role models in her life, because I have to go back because we keep talking about Eleanor, but right, she was married to Henry II. Now I'm going to quiz you. Who was the mother of Henry II, Emma? One of my favorite.
Emma of Normandy?
No.
I don't know. Who was?
Empress Matilda.
Oh, right. You're right. How could I not know that?
Imagine you have this powerhouse mother and grandmother that you probably had heard about during your lifetime, about how she should have been Queen of England, the Lady of the English, or whatever they called her. Yeah.
Maybe Henry had a thing for a woman like that because of that. Ooh, yeah. The Duchess of Aquitaine in her own right. She's been Queen of France.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bring her over. Let's see what she can do. Oh, yeah. Henry. Oh, Henry.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
She was a mighty force to be reckoned with, that Eleanor, wasn't she?
I mean, what good examples to have in your life.
Right. And ultimate examples of sacrifice, because Matilda, to me, she represents an example of strong woman, but ultimately an example of how women, because of they're not considered the same, ultimately have to sacrifice and compromise, and for the good of the lineage, for the good of the dynasty, for the good of their offspring, often transmit. And that's how we've talked about this, how England and Castile are similar. It's not ideal that a woman rules. Actually, a man is always preferred, but women can transmit the rights and can be regents. So it's like the door is half open, Yeah. And I think Eleanor, in many ways and respects, she was not a ruling queen because she was a Duchess of Aquitaine, which was a very, very amazing place. And it's not far from, the reason why this is all connected is Aquitaine is not far from Spain either, So it's all in this kind of like area of the north of Spain. Because think about this, Eleanor of Castile is very important, but most of her work is done in the north of Spain because they're still fighting off the Muslim troops in the central and southern. So the Iberian Peninsula is not unified still. They're still doing all this work to try to Christianize the rest of the Iberian Peninsula. So they are very in the north. That's why they have these alliances and many interests in places like Guyenne, Gascony, Aquitaine. Aquitaine is the bigger. So it's all linked together. It's all linked to the trade. It's all linked to, and Aquitaine, they have many, many amazing things, starting with great wines. And Aquitaine is a place you should put on your list. It's extremely beautiful.
Oh.
And lots of culture, because one, I think, of the most outstanding things about medieval culture is the troubadour culture. The troubadours were these people that were like poets, but they would sing too and play music. And and Aquitaine was where this flourished. But then that extended to the Iberian Peninsula in places like Catalonia in the east, where the crown of Aragon would eventually create, right? So we have, for example, in the case, I knew you would love this, the Catalan poet Ramon Vidal de Besalao described Eleanor Plantagenet wrapped in a red silk mantle with the Angevine lions.
Oh, wow. I feel like,
I want one of those.
I do too. Yes,
With
please.
pomegranates. Mine should have pomegranates. What do you want in yours?
Just ermine. That's all I want. I just want people to know I'm royalty.
Just the most luxurious taste,
Yeah.
right?
But yeah, and I definitely want it red because I love the color red. So I'll take red. You can wear
Yeah,
something.
red looks.
You can wear purple, whatever.
Yeah, red looks very good on you, so I don't blame you. I can wear the purple. Don't worry. Also, I can wear. Oh, I was asked this question the other day. A bit off topic, but in topic with magnificence, right? Because what this person, this Catalan poet, is describing when he's describing Eleanor dressed like she's royalty. You can see it when you see her because she's wearing this mantle with the symbols of her lineage. So women are proud, displaying proudly these symbols of their lineage. A question I was asked the other day is why in Tudor portrayals the Spanish are always in black, right? Wearing
Yeah.
black. And it's not a lot of people think it's because of a negative connotation about the Spaniards and the Spanish court. And we talked about the black legend with Peter in that Philip and Mary. And Philip and Mary, you see them, they're dressed in black usually,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
The reason is not they're mourning or they're very religious. That's not the reason. The main reason for the Spanish for wearing black was the most expensive color to get.
Oh,
Very
yeah.
difficult to achieve, extremely difficult to achieve, only available to be made under certain circumstances with certain things that the only Spanish had. So you wouldn't be. It's about exclusivity. It's about magnificence. It's about having the best of the best. At the time, they're described like the most elegant people in Europe in many ways and respects. Yeah. And I look black. So I'm not gonna say so. That's the real reason.
I'm wearing black today.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a real reason why has that been later, used as a way to. I mean, yes, usually when they portray the Spanish court is a bit dingy. It's a bit dark. The courts were all magnificent and flashy. It's just wearing black was a way to symbolize that you were the richest of the richest. And you had access to things that others didn't have. Like, oh, you're going to hate this, including things like parrots, monkeys.
I cannot get away from these. Sorry, I cannot get away from these parrots.
We're going to get a parrot for Rebecca.
I think I need one.
For you.
I need something to talk to. I live alone, so I got to sit
up to 100 years.
Oh my gosh, no, I don't need that. No, it's hard.
Now you're thinking of getting a husband, are you?
You send me a husband instead, thanks.
Yeah, no, I think you're fine. Yes, but parrots, any exotic. So a lot of, for example, when we see these pictures, and we talked about a picture, a Tudor picture that you loved. And there's a weird monkey type thing, and they were all having at the table.
Oh, right. Yes, I do remember that.
Yes. So those things are displayed there to show that you have access to exclusive things. For example, Antonismo, the person who portrayed Mary the First and many of the people from the Habsburg court, and that's why he portrayed Mary, because he portrayed her when she was going to get married to Philip, and now hangs in the Prado Museum, obviously, portrays other people with very different things. The majority of them have gloves in their hand. These are perfumed gloves that were very, very exclusive, and you can find in the accounts that they're sending them to each other. So Mary Tudor receives gloves from a woman from Spain. It says a noble woman from Spain sent 10 pairs of gloves to Mary. Imagine having 10 pairs of amazing, magnificent gloves to give to people, right? In order to get your connections tighter and things like that. But in other ones, and especially in the people in the Portuguese court, because these are the guys that are going to Asia a lot, you see things like fans for the first time.
Like
a fan.
Like a
Right.
fan, not
Yeah, to
like
fan yourself.
not like a fan of the show.
No, like a fan to fan yourself when it's hot
Yeah.
and move the air. So yes, that is something that came from Asia through the Portuguese court. And Catherine of Aragon's niece, Catherine of Austria, sister of Charles V, popularized this because she would send these exotic. She was the first one to, for example, have a collection of Chinese porcelain.
Mm.
Yeah, and so she would send these exotic things to the people around Europe. When Henry VIII decides to divorce Catherine of Aragon, King John III of Portugal stops all that trade that the English are doing with the Levant and the Far East and even with Asia. And King Henry VIII sends him a letter. He's like, why are my ships not allowed to go there anymore? He's like, well, because you're an heretic guy that is divorcing my best bud, Catherine of Aragon, maybe? She's my fam, okay?
What a tool.
Yeah, what a tool. And then he was like, I don't get it. Okay, well, ask your new wife to make you some contacts in Asia. Maybe she has some. Oh, she doesn't. So that's the
Yeah.
reality of that. No, that's why you don't see, for example, Anne Boleyn with an exotic animal in a portrait.
Yeah. Yeah. I wish we had a portrait of Eleanor of Aquitaine, a real contemporary
Oh, I
portrait.
know. That's the thing we have to be grateful for the Tudors. We go a bit further back, and those are not. They're usually recreations and things. When you see a picture of Eleanor Plantagenet, we do have some representations
Oh,
in things like the titles of the cities she was given or when she did artistic patronage. So there are some depictions, and we can maybe share them for the show notes of Eleanor Plantagenet that are in like manuscripts and things like that.
okay.
In this case, I think these women are, in both cases, Eleanor of Aquitaine, and I would do more of an architectural tour. He's more than thinking about going to see pictures and that. It's just not there. But
Mhm.
architectural tours are very cool. So if you want to go and see, for example, where Eleanor was buried, she was buried in Anjou in the Fontainebleau Abbey. That's a spectacular place because we're talking about the time where cathedrals, abbeys, and churches were just at their best. This is the late Gothic style, and it's just incredible. The Monasterio de las Huelgas, also in Burgos, that I've told you where Eleanor and her husband, and those are like that's a very cool trip to do from Aquitaine to down to Spain and Burgos. You can
Yeah.
do that. It's not terribly far. You know what I mean? Especially not in American standards. you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but then what I'm saying is these places are connected. Even like going to England, right? Because that's I mean Eleanor of Aquitaine was Queen of England, and so then Eleanor Plantagenet was born in England. I think it would be very cool to do a powerful women tour, European tour. Oh,
Oh,
sounds like a good idea, doesn't
that
it?
sounds really good. Really good.
Eleanor, these two women would have to be featured because they're just powerhouses. Eleanor Plantagenet, less known in England, less known to the English speaking audience, but definitely in Spain, a key woman. She did a lot of patronage around the cathedral. Oh, she had a very cool. I noted this down because I thought this was really cool. She kept a shrine to Thomas Becket in the cathedral in Toledo.
Eleanor, which Eleanor?
The daughter. So the daughter becomes Queen of Castile.
Yeah.
And in Toledo, which is a city they just had conquered some time ago from the Muslims, they're creating these churches in this. She starts a shrine to Thomas Becket, the martyr from England, that later on Catherine of Lancaster revives, who is also born in England and becomes Queen of Castile, who Catherine of Aragon is named after.
Oh, wow.
These are all connected.
Yeah.
This is they're connected because they know they're reviving, and they always say that in the treaties. This will be featured in the course. They say that in the treaties. They say that in the wedding festivities when Catherine of Aragon marries Arthur Tudor in 1501. They say, "You that come from the land of Lancaster to Catherine." because Catherine is a descendant of John of Gaunt and Catherine of Lancaster.
Yeah.
There's a very, very cool document that I would show in the course about this. And it's both visual and written, and it's incredible. And it links Catherine of Lancaster to Catherine of Aragon directly. And it starts with John of Gaunt, so you can imagine what it is. But also, for example, when Mary Tudor is holding that rose in that picture that hangs in the Prado Museum by Antonis More. I've never talked about this picture before. I'm going to do that for the first time now.
Never, ever.
Never, ever have I been obsessed about this picture or just can't stop thinking about it. I realized something the other day when we spoke to Peter, many things, because every time I talk to Peter, he's so knowledgeable in all the imagery of Mary. But I think speaking about Mary and Philip as parallel lives, I realized Philip was also a Lancaster. And Peter mentioned that his Lancastrian origin was something that was prominent in the wedding festivities between Mary and Philip. So that rose, that red rose, is not just a symbol of the Lancasters because Mary descends from the Lancasters. It's a symbol of like the royal houses of Spain and England are tied together since the war, since the 100-Year War, because we're really enemies of France.
Right. Yes.
Exactly. And it all starts with really Eleanor of Aquitaine's family, doesn't it? Because they make a mess of everything, even though they're iconic.
Yeah.
Still pretty messy.
Well, okay, I have to go back because you talked about Eleanor of Castile. Why do we have so many episodes with same
Eleanor
name?
Plantagenet.
Yes, thank you.
Eleanor of Castile is Eleanor Plantagenet's granddaughter that marries Edward I of England.
My apologies. Sorry to confuse the two.
All the Eleanors again in your head. You're like,
I was just thinking, well, you were saying that she had a shrine to Thomas Becket, and it was her father that was kind of responsible for the murder of Thomas Becket, wasn't he?
Just the women making amends for everyone. I'm telling you, peacemakers, shrine makers, builders, mothers, powerhouses, beauties, overall icons.
She's probably a Libra. She wanted to keep things balanced and fair.
You know what I noticed, and this is important. I noticed that when it comes to the women in Castile, we have their birth dates and their death dates. But for example, for Eleanor Plantagenet, we don't have a birth date because she was born in England, and that wasn't important to record. But we do have the birth dates of the women in Castile before her. So that's another reason. That's another thing that's important, that you are recording the births of daughters, that there's celebrations when the daughters are born. It's not like this secret. That's very important because when Mary Tudor is born in 1516, it's Catherine of Aragon who sends a message to Calais to say the king has had a daughter. That had never happened before, as far as I know. She's changing the narrative from the beginning. It's like when she ordered the translation of the Chronicle of England into Spanish before Henry VII dies, and she's like, finish it with my coronation. She's playing ahead of the game. And Eleanor of Aquitaine was a bit like that. And she instilled that in Eleanor Plantagenet, who was key in convincing her daughter, Berengaria, another name like Urraca, Berengaria, to marry Sancho, let me get it right, the 9th of Leon. And that's how Leon and Castile get together, really. Alfonso the 9th of Leon.
Oh, another one.
Another Alfonso, this one from Leon.
Wow. Yeah. You know what? We keep talking about Eleanor of Aquitaine and what a powerhouse she is. And I think the one thing everybody feels like they know about her is that she was a very strong mother to her sons.
Yes, to say the least, right?
Yeah. Was her daughter? I don't remember. And maybe you said it and I wasn't paying attention, but her daughter, did she have children? How many children did she have? Was she similar?
She did have a ton. Yeah. She did have a ton. She was very strong mother because she was a very strong ruler. She was ruling alongside Alfonso. She had cities that she ruled. She was the lady of them. She administered and all that. And then she was key, and this is another big point, she was key in the marriage arrangements of her children. Like Catherine of Aragon would, like Isabel of Castile would be, and Catherine of Aragon would be. The women were very important in that. And that becomes very important because those are the people who are going to have the next generation of. So she was key in the marriage, and a very important marriage, really. That was the marriage of her daughter Berengaria to this king of Leon. She is also a regent. She's left, so her husband dies 26 days before her.
Oh.
They had been married since she was 9 years old.
Whoa.
Yeah. And he died 26 before her, leaving her as regent, leaving her as executor of his will, leaving her in charge of everything because their son is still a boy. So
Oh.
he trusts her fully to fulfill the dynastic continuation of his son succeeding him. He trusts her fully, so he gives her the whole power. That's what Henry III of Castile would do with Catherine of Lancaster when he dies, and she rules Castile for a long time, and because her son, the father of Isabel of Castile, is still a boy. So this is how women are acquiring power in this area of Europe, and the preconditions for someone like Isabel of Castile, of course.
Yeah.
So she had. Remember that also Isabel is very focused on the humanist movement, and all these women, at least the most famous ones, are included in things like the Claris Mulieribus by Boccaccio, which was a very famous work that Boccaccio, an Italian humanist, wrote on famous women, saying that, there's been famous women just like there's been famous men, right? And he talks about heroines of the Bible. There's many heroines of the Bible, but also like the women from antiquity, Lucretia, that Catherine Aragon identifies with later on. So, and then Christine de Pizan, we know that Isabel of Castile had books by Christine de Pizan, who writes The City of the Ladies, and she's a feminist. She's a feminist. I don't care what anybody says. No feminism before the 90s. Christine de Pizan was a feminist.
I don't know anything about her, to be honest. I feel ashamed to say that because I hear her name come up so frequently.
Christine de Pizan to the list. You know who she can pair with perfectly? Beatriz Galindo. Beatriz Galindo, La Latina, because these are very, very highly cultivated women. So when there's cultural movements that include women, like the humanist movement, I mean, not all women, we're talking about women in the elites again, I always clarify that. But when there's movements that are like, well, women are going to be better Christians if they are educated, you just generate people with critical thinking skills that happen to be women.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Beatriz Galindo comes from that humanist movement in Spain that comes from Italy, and we've talked a lot about it. But Christine de Pizan comes basically from that very strong cultural movement in France of the troubadour culture. That just France was it's still a very cultivated place, So
yeah.
She was a writer. Christine de Pizan was amazing. Yeah, we'll have to do Parallel Lives, Christine de Pizan, for sure.
Yeah. I think that's a great idea. Yeah. I like it. Okay, so what other parallels do you see between this mother-daughter combo?
Well, the first and the most important one, their names, right? Eleanor, which is one of my favorite names of all time, I have to say. I think it's very legal, very beautiful name. Yeah, it's a very beautiful name. The current princess of Spain is Eleanor.
Oh, I think that name is making a resurgence because I have a friend who I coach track with, and her young daughter, who is maybe 5, is named Eleanor.
Yeah, I think it's one of those names that just comes back once in a while. Sounds good. It's beautiful. It has many forms. So Eleanor,
Ellie,
Ellie, many ways. That's the first thing. I think that marks you, as a person. If you're named after someone, it's important, That's why when we choose names for our children, we kind of think about that, right? So I think that's because I think that the parallel is that Eleanor Plantagenet is the most similar to her mother. But instead of having conflicts with her husband, she finds a good one or one that she gets along with. So it's a parallel that then it becomes a difference, right?
Yeah.
In that sense, what she reminds me of, Eleanor Plantagenet, is of Isabel of Castile, that has a rulership with Fernando, and they say, oh, they were the equals. No, one was a woman, one was a man in a very
Male
sexist
dominated.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but nevertheless, they had acquired so much power, and they had so much personality and charisma. We have to realize that this is a reality too. That the men just thought it's going to be better because I'm going to be more powerful because she's getting things done. I like this chick.
I'm sure they would call her a chick too back then.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Troubadour and the troubadour. We can't put that in the poem.
Yeah,
Okay,
right.
call her my sweet love.
When you talk about the troubadours, you know what it reminds me of? The Witcher. Have you ever watched The Witcher? I didn't read the
Have
books,
I
but
ever watched The Witcher?
okay.
Who stars in The Witcher?
Oh my gosh, I wasn't even thinking. Of course,
Come
Henry
on. I can't speak
Cavill.
about it because of the restraining order, but
No, we have not gotten a restraining order.
from Henry Cavill. Not yet.
Yeah, well, that's the only reason why I know what that is because obviously in The Witcher, and I don't remember any of their names because it's been so long since I watched it, but the guy that follows him along, he's like writing tales about The Witcher's life and
Exactly. A bit like the idea we have of it's a cultivated gesture, like it's someone who's there to entertain, but in a high cultivated manner.
yeah.
And it comes a bit, I think that tradition comes a bit from the Celtic time, from the bards. So
Oh,
bard.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same principle. I think I could do that job very well.
Oh, I think you
Because
could.
somebody recently left a very nice comment that I love to hear my voice. But you know what? They have not heard me sing yet. I was in the school choir. I pride myself on being a good singer too. So yes, I do love the sound of my voice. I could become a bard. Anybody looking for a bard, female bard?
I am me. Will you be my bard?
I'll just write tales about your podcast and have a little harp and be like, ring,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that would be fantastic. How much would I have to pay you?
I think if you just give me a life of luxury, I'll be fine.
Just get Henry Cavill to reach out to you and then
yes,
forever mine.
Yeah, he can be the male bard and we can just sing for you there. Well, what were you gonna wear? What is it that you were gonna wear?
What? My red mantle with ermine on it. I'll be all wrapped up in it.
Yes, Queen of Minnesota, Queen of the North.
I'll take Queen of the North. Yeah, I like that. That's bigger than just Minnesota.
But you're not a Game of Thrones fan.
Well, I liked Game of Thrones. I just preferred House of the Dragon.
Okay, because of the dragons, right?
Yeah. I still want a dragon to this day. Like, somebody hook me up.
But I mean, that first time you saw Daenerys Targaryen saying Dracarys, you can't beat that in House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
Dracarys. Oh my God.
Who doesn't want that kind of power?
I don't think I need that type of power, to be honest with you.
Well, she needed it because it seemed like nobody would listen to her, right? Like,
I'll be in the corner like, it's getting
bleak. With your harp.
My harp and my perfect hair.
It seems like a harp is a strange instrument to be carrying around. Like, wouldn't you want a lute or something?
A little harp. You've never seen the little harp?
Oh, just a little.
Yeah, a little one. Some castanets. I can play.
Get you. What do they call those the triangles? Did you guys have?
That's about as complex as I can get with my musical instrumentation. Yes, it's more my voice.
I'm sorry, guys. I can't help it.
The instrument is within, Rebecca.
Yes, I agree. My voice is my instrument too.
Yes. And I love the sound of it. So keep it up with the nice comments, guys.
It drives her. It fuels her when you tell her she talks a lot.
Oh, I did. I went to the karaoke that night. I was so thrilled.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks, or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Visit USAA.com/bundle.
Bundle savings are off total premium, not available in all states or in all situations. To qualify, auto policy must be active prior to property policy issue, subject to change. Restrictions apply. Membership eligibility and product restrictions apply and are subject to change. USAA means United Services Automobile Association and its affiliates, San Antonio, Texas.
Oh, as you can tell, we love it when we get hate mail, so to speak.
Yes.
It
just gives me faith in humanity, you know?
Yeah. I just don't get it. You know, I understand it. Neither of us are everybody's cup of tea, right? But I put out 3 episodes a week. Just skip over this one. If you don't like Dr. Emma and me, just skip it.
And to anyone who finds someone's voice annoying, please don't listen to it. If it's me, if it's someone else, don't do that to yourself because you're only going to get in a bad mood.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And why leave comments telling? I don't understand. That's like telling a radio DJ that you don't like their voice.
Yeah.
Like, this is your occupation. You have a terrible voice. Ugh, Emma, you talk too much.
And the thing is, the voice is something you can't really change. It's something you're given, right?
Well, you can do vocal training, but yeah, for the most part.
But I concentrate my vocal training and my accents, my weird stimming, and all the things I need. I don't have time to change my voice. Anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, wow, we really do go on tangents, don't we?
We do.
Where were we? What were we even talking about at this point?
I think one was named Eleanor, and the other one might have been named Eleanor too.
Yeah.
In Spain, she would be called Leonor, so that's a Spanish form. And she became so prominent and important that started a tradition that our current princess, the Princess of Asturias, her name is Leonor. So the next queen of Spain will be Leonor the First.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's how it is. That's how connected all of this is, really. When the King of Spain, Philip, another name that comes from Philip VI and his wife, Queen Letizia, named their daughter Leonor, they did intentionally. It's because there's these famous presidents, right? It's how it works. Why do you think Elizabeth was named Elizabeth? It's just Elizabeth II, for example.
Yeah.
All these names just acquire importance. I like that the next Queen of England's name is going to be
Catherine.
Another Catherine. And the current Princess of Wales, and Catherine was also Princess of Wales for a long time, is an art historian. Did you know that?
Yes, actually, I did. I think I learned that a couple years ago. I guess a story about it or something.
Yeah, she's an art historian, so she's sitting in St. Andrews where she met, this is just a tangent, but I think it's an interesting one. She's very interested in photography, so she takes all the pictures of her kids that they make public and all that. So she's a patron of the National Portrait Gallery, and overall, she's a champion of art. So she's just like Catherine of Aragon, really. I just think they're such a great couple. I love them.
I do too.
Yeah.
I
grew up with them too, it's like they're my age.
Yeah.
So when they started, it's just like people, basically.
Well, right. That's how I feel too. I feel like anyone from our generation knows who Diana was and who her sons were. Like we were just so obsessed with them because it's like, they were like us, same age.
We all had our favorites.
Yeah.
Who's your favorite? Come on.
You know what? It's funny. William used to always be my favorite because I don't like redheaded men. No offense. I'm a redhead.
No offense to all the redheaded men in the world.
We don't need to
I like redheaded men. Don't worry, guys.
I am a redhead. We don't need to put two redheads together. I feel like that's dangerous.
It just explodes. Never
Yeah,
happened. Let's not push it.
but I feel like Harry has grown on me in appearance. I feel like when he was younger, I wasn't
Who?
as Harry.
Oh, Harry's not. Is he part of the?
What?
Or the non-working member of the royal family?
Okay, I was just saying who we grew up with. Let's not get into the drama that goes around with Harry and Meghan.
That's exactly what we're getting into.
I do not want to talk about that. That is, yeah. Anyway, I'm very opinionated on that matter. Anyway, back to the Eleanors.
Back to the parallel lives.
I want to talk about
I
something.
think my favorite member of the royal family is Catherine.
Yeah,
The Princess of Wales.
I like her too.
Yeah.
She's pretty great.
She's pretty great. I wouldn't mind, working for her if she has a job for a bard.
Oh. Yeah,
Royal bard.
As one needs now.
Spanish and French and a little bit of German if you need. I can learn Chinese. If she wants me to learn Chinese, I will.
You say German. I feel like the only song in German that I know is the My Hat It Has Three Corners song. Do you know that one?
You don't know 99 Luftballons?
Well, I mean, I don't know like all the words to it, but yeah.
That's pretty much it.
I was like that and a drinking and eating song, but other than that, yeah.
I learned a Beatles song in German once.
You did?
Come give me deine Hand.
Wow.
I went to German class for 3 years.
Well, I did it for 4. Haha.
Oh, okay, you win.
And I got student of the month.
Well, none of the Eleanors would have spoken German because they would have spoken Old Occitan, which would have been an old form of French. So that would have been okay to go to the court of Henry II because remember that time in England they spoke also French.
Yeah.
Would have been a bit different in Spain, and she would have, but it's not that far off because all these languages were starting from the same starting point, which was badly spoken Latin, really. So they all have commonalities. So in that sense, that's something I always admire about these women. They need to adapt too. You go imagine just arriving to a place where everybody's like speaking a totally different language. And you're like, and now I'm the queen of these people and I don't understand a word. Yeah. Imagine being married at 9 years old, like Eleanor Plantagenet was married at 9 years old.
I can't imagine that. But I can't imagine moving to a place where you don't understand the language. That's how I felt when I moved to Texas.
I believe you. When
you're what do you do?
I have that feeling sometimes when I go to England in certain Ireland or Scotland sometimes. It takes a minute, I do end up. I grew up going there in the summer to the northeast of England. They have a strong accent, so I eventually. But sometimes I'm like, oh. But it happens to me mostly. I think it's like 5 or 10 minutes that I just need to be like getting used to the accent again, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it happens in America as much for me. I guess I just grew up listening to American accent all the time in the shows and that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, depends. I guess Minnesotans have a very easy accent too. Oh, you betcha.
Oh yeah, sure, you betcha.
Oh yeah, sure. Let's talk about Eleanor. Sorry, guys, if I'm not doing it right.
No, you know what? When you hear people do Minnesota accents or upper Midwest accents, they always sound the same. And most of them are pretty accurate. I mean, it's usually, I want to say the older generation has it a little thicker.
It's curious how some people have it and some people don't. But like in my region, we all have the same accent because we're from here, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if someone moves for 20 years somewhere else, but in Minnesota, it's funny because some people don't. And then his best friend is next to him. He's like, oh, and you're like, okay, that's same school, same. I think if it runs in the family, the thick Minnesota accent.
Yeah,
Right?
I try to fight it, but every once in a while you'll
I think
point
it's cute.
you'll point out when my O's will get a little elongated. I try not to have an accent because I didn't want people to know where I was from, but it happens.
I think it's really funny, guys, when Minnesotans make fun of Canadian accent, and I'm like, yeah, because it's so different.
It is pretty
Oh,
much.
and they say oh, and we say oh, and I'm
Right.
like, okay.
But Canadians say A at the end,
A.
right? Yeah, that's the difference. Minnesotans probably say something like then at the end instead of A. Would you like to go to the bar then?
Oh yes, sure. Well, Eleanor and Eleanor would have not understood that. They would have thought, wow, these people are definitely not from around town.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah. Well, this has been so much fun. And I want to is there one last example of parallel lives that you'd like to share for these two women?
These two women.
Yeah.
I think just to sum up, if you are interested in these women because they're fascinating, I would definitely go on an architectural tour of Eleanor of Aquitaine and Eleanor Plantagenet. And I think in those great buildings that they promoted, these shrines that they promoted, and the places that they buried, and if you visit mother and daughter in their final resting places, you understand the magnificence. And this is something that I think art does that it's not possible to explain on a podcast. It's something you have to experience in the flesh. You have to walk through these places, you have to visit these abbeys. And I think for me in the Middle Ages, for me, the most powerful thing from the Middle Ages is the architecture. These abbeys, these cathedrals, these places that just make me I just get emotional when I walk in these places.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend you to visit the Fontainebleau Abbey in Anjou, and then take a trip to Burgos and visit these two architectural compounds where they're buried, because they're out of this world, and you'll feel a presence. You feel that what they wanted, which was to build a long-lasting memory, was achieved, right? And being women at a time where women didn't have rights, well, not most people didn't have rights. Just shows, first of all, the powerful, are the powerful, but also in certain places that idea that the women could kind of rule with the men was transformed into more power because they acted as power couples. And I think the just to finish off the let me say it right again, because I know the name, but I just want to say it completely right. The Where did I write it down? Here, the Abbey of Santa Maria la Real de las Huelgas is that place where Eleanor Plantagenet and Alfonso VIII are buried.
Mm-hmm.
You will not regret going to this place, I promise you. And then after, you can go to Cartuja de Miraflores, another outstanding place, another outstanding church where the parents of Isabel of Castile are buried. And it's one of the most spectacular late Gothic monuments. I would say that the one of Henry VIII and Elizabeth of York is a pale comparative to this magnificent late Gothic. It's in the form of a star, and they're both in the center, and it's all ornate. It's incredible. And that's in La Cartuja de Miraflores, also in Burgos. Burgos also has one of the most beautiful cathedrals in Spain. What can I say? Burgos is amazing.
Go
to Burgos.
Well, Dr. Emma, thanks again for coming on with me today for Dr. Emma and me to talk about these two amazing Eleanors, mother and daughter team, because it's always just fun to chat about women in history too, isn't it?
Oh, I love it. Thank you for letting me go on tangents and vindicating my voice, Rebecca. I love you. Have a great day, guys.
Thanks for listening to Tudors, Dynasty, and Beyond. If you enjoyed the episode, please take a moment to follow or subscribe wherever you're listening so you never miss a new release. And if you loved it, leave a quick review. It helps more history lovers find the show. Want to support the podcast and get bonus content? Head to patreon.com/tutorsdynasty. You can also find the link in the show notes of this episode. Join the conversation with Rebecca on social media at Tutors Dynasty. Until next time.